For breaking news, go to iDiskiTimes.co.za. iDiskiTV powered by World Sports Betting. iDiskiTimes.co.za. It is Mamelodi Sundowns 4, Orlando Pirates 1 in the Betway Premiership. That's the gap then between Sundowns and Orlando Pirates being 9 points. Tso Vilakazi is the highest ever goal scorer in the history of Orlando Pirates. He's a former midfielder, one of the most phenomenal midfielders this country has ever seen. Also played in Denmark, played in the Europa League, as well as being a father to maybe 21 children, I think.
Hi, 8.
What did you make of the case, sir?
Mr. Kunjani
Mr.
mfethu?
So-and-so?
Ngibulise wena ngibulise Stizi.
Jester, Jester?
Ngibulise uLindo Mkwena.
Mtakash, Mtakash?
Chairman my chairman.
Yes, sir.
Namachita laphana nginibhekile laphana stadium. Ngibhekile Shane nawe bobo lapho ngibhekile bafethu.
Yes, sir.
TKJ. Nginibulise nani emakhaya ngicela support njalo la iDiskiTV. Ngizobuya nje njalo ngichike futhi. You know, as Pirates, mabaphuma lapha stadium, they mustn't look down. They must be proud about themselves. Why I'm saying this, Mr. Q, abadliwanga in just an ordinary team. They've been beaten by former champions of the Betway Premiership.
Current or reigning champions.
Yeah, you know, mostly Sundowns. For me, you cannot look back and say, these guys, Mr. Q, I said it now after time. When you look at them as a group, look at them as a team, individual. These guys, they are in another level, and well done to Gabuyelo. They did very well.
When they invited you to the podcast, Uhlompo Kekana, Tiana Mabonda, no Tiko Modise, did they ask you your prediction, and what was your prediction?
Yeah. No, they did ask Mr. Q, and then Rabachela. I mean, I said it's going to be a draw.
Okay.
But one thing that I also said is that it's a tie between the two, Mofokeng and Ribeiro, because they're running for a player of the season.
Yeah.
And what I said to good team, whoever is gonna do it in this game today, look, he's saying to everyone, guys, I'm the player of the year. And
expand on that, Mr. So, what happened today, and who is the player of the season?
Ribeiro. I did mention Ribeiro. He's one player that he's not selfish. He's a team player. Individually, he makes things happen. I mean, look at the goal, Mr. Nkeo, mistaken, Dlamini. Oh, I will come to that point. Dlamini by blocker, I will go Ribeiro. We act, yes, Sundowns. Lapha ku arc Sundowns center. Ilapana, why you told Ribeiro. You know, that's why I'm saying as a number 10, you need to be very smart. You know, some of the players in that run Begayenza or Shalulile was there. One of typical players, Pete, was gonna pass. But Ribeiro didn't do that. Pega, he continued until he put the ball in the net, and that is something else, Mr. Q. You know, look at all the actions where Sundowns, where Ribeiro is involved. Look at the goal, Mokwena. You know, instead of Ribeiro can take that shot. You know. But he said no. Oh, Mokwena Nagola. And then I'm from
long range.
Mr. Q. Lomfana mele kukhulunywe naye kahle eshaya into engaziwa ukuthi ibuyaphi. But Mr. Ribeiro is one player that he's good with the ball. Yes, he's not that perfect, because when it comes to that element of marking, he's not that good in marking. But one thing that I like about him, and I always say, there's two things that you need to do as a player in the game. If you can help us in marking, help us in creating and score. So Ribeiro, he's not good when it comes to marking. But when his teammates have got a ball, he says, I'm here. Give me. I'll make things happen. And these are the things that I always ask my players. But we can't lose two points in you. Why are you there?
If you can't mark and you can't attack as well.
No. For example, Udlamini. With the ball, we don't see you. Without the ball, we don't see you. Okay, why are you there? So, Ribeiro, he's something else.
Just give me a second. So, I want to do something here. Part of the reason why Dlamini played is because there was an unavailability on Mbata. Not that I think he would have made a difference.
Yeah.
The only difference it would have made was that he was just going to defend more. Could you not have tried Usilailo Rasibucha or Undlondlo, although they haven't played in a very long time? Because my concern with Udlamini is there's not an attack on Namath. I like him actually when he kicks the ball.
Yeah.
Technically, he's very good technically kicking the ball. But one of his disadvantages, sometimes as a coach, you must know the strengths of your players. He cannot mark. Like, you shouldn't be asking him to do that. Could you not have then Mandla Ncikazi, Jose Rivero, put your heads together and say, we don't have a second defensive midfielder, but Singamzam Udlondlo, if it's been too long, because it's been maybe over a year, Singamzam Usilailo. Silailo also is very good in terms of quality going forward. I don't know, they were annihilated by Yena, specifically by Magesi. Last time they gave him a responsibility. Maybe they still have the memory. But to play Udlamini was a risk because Udlamini is good. I think he's very good kicking the ball going forward. Very limited other qualities, but sometimes there's moments of brilliance with his true passes. But one thing he cannot do, he cannot mark. So that means every time you were under pressure, numerical advantage with Sundowns in the midfield, they were never going to be able to cover.
Mr. Geo, I said when you play against Sundowns, if you gonna put your plan in terms of you wanna play also, you're gonna be in trouble. You coming to where they want you, because now we've got players Udlamini ufuna ukudlala, uTito ufuna ukudlala ngithi nabo ke but okay, thank you very much. It means we're not gonna run mos. I'm not because they're gonna play here. Then and when they attack, they're as good as defending. I always say this, Mr. K, because when they attack, they've got numbers in attack. They support each other in attack. And when they lose the ball, they close down, corner lap. So that's why the Pirates, there were moments where by the Pirates, while they were attacking, it's because of they support each other when they've got a ball. And when they lose the ball, they squeeze corner lap. Udlamini, I like him when he's gonna play Lapana behind the striker, because he can find Lama chip work and Lama pass work in between. But now today I was gonna play Rasibucha, because one thing that I've seen in him is that he can mark, he can also carry the ball and attack the space. And that's what you want.
I think the marking part, Kusilailo, was the match him against. So if you remember it, Kukaling, he was in 6s and 7s. It was him and two other players he's never played with in the midfield, maybe Dlamini and Kamvidu, something like that. I remember you were complaining about the fact that they had never played before. And I remember the goals that they considered, 3 goals in the first half. You could see Usilailo, Amadola Pansi, like it was a bad image. So maybe they remember that. But then going forward, the game that he was introduced against Al Ahly, that's why you could see that he's decent very going forward. So one way or another, Pirates are always going to be in trouble in midfield because they needed someone else who can work as much as Makaula. But then the unfortunate part was that Makaula doesn't have a forward pass. Let's have a look, maybe so then, without waffling too much, the implications of this game. So, like, njengoba idliwe Pirates 4-1, ikutshela ini leyo nto leyo ngomncintiswano wabo wokuthi bebedlala kwi-league, 2 horses were running and it was a 2-horse race, but now it's a 10-point gap. Omunye usepitori, omunye usejozi. That's the gap now. But they're not already out of the country, maybe, because there's a game in hand as well, blah, blah, blah. But it is a significant 1-hour gap between Pretoria and Jozi.
Mr. Gil, you know, when you beat somebody that is giving you a headache, then it means you make your way to be smooth going forward. That's what Sundowns they did. Ukuthi asuse ni Pirates yasihlupa. Balokuba la emva balokuba la. Masuse bona la. The rest mabeza la. Bazochayiswa itrack nje vele mabeza ngoba uyayibona nje uyiza ngakhona iSundowns, even though they do have mistakes, that I think Pirates they let themselves down. Why I'm saying this, Mr. K, is that they don't have a replacement. You know, I was just saying, have 2 abo Mofokeng, have 2 abo Tito, have 2 abo Mbata, have 2 abo Otto, have 2 abo Mabasa. Players that today, it's not his day today. But I think I'm keeping Fagelo. You know, you just change the personnel. You didn't change the formation.
Is it possible so that we are seeing an Orlando Pirates that is at the beginning stages and it's outperforming itself? So Guli Pirates is a primary, Mara, they are a very good student who could pass metric with flying colors, but only in a few years' time. Because if you look at the age of their attackers, Umuha Nkota, or Mofokeng, talent and batter. Of course, people rate him.
Yeah.
Talent and batter. Is it possible that we are seeing a Pirates that I know they've always been number 2 in the last 2 years? They were always number 2, but then there was a change in the squad and there was a refreshing in the squad. Is it possible that they are? Because I felt this. Given that they were not in the picture,
Yeah.
now they really did so well. Algeria, Cairo, they did so well.
Yeah.
And I said, they're outperforming all expectations, and we should never say anything about that. We should not have any expectations. We don't know how it could go. The sky is the limit for them. Because surely they are outperforming the expectation. They were not a regular Champions League team.
Yes.
Is it not possible that we are looking at a Pirates that is still a student, which will be a brilliant matriculant in a year's time, maybe?
My worry in that, they are good students, but my worry is how are you going to sustain your team? That is very important because when you look at Sundowns, in that midfield of Sundowns, the average age was 25. Then now you look and say, 25, it was Allende, Mokoena, Adams. 25.
They can still go on for
the
4
next 5
seasons.
years, they will be 30. Then you look at Pirates, Mbata, I think it's 27.
I think it's still young. If I'm not mistaken, I stand to be correct. I think it's still young. But Makaula, I get the point. He's a little bit older.
Old. And then you look at
Miguel Team as well.
Miguel Team now is old. Udlamini naye is not young. Naye Ute Ukula. So it raises questions to me to say, yes, we're having a good team. No doubt about that. We're having a good team. But can you work now in terms of replacing these guys? You know, there's games where the team is leading 2-0, second half, 60 minutes, and then you take Makaula and then you put the boy. That is an understanding to Umaketleni Ukuthi. Umaketleni, when he calls the day, then the boy takes off. But now I see parents ukuthi ngathi iyashaya lento leyo ngathi sekayibambi kahle. And then that's where iSundowns they are good at. To say, oh, okay, Mkhulise maybe he's 27, Asitila Adams. Alende 24, right? Mkwena Shalalana when you're still 25. So that means we're
even
okay.
Sipombule was brought in with that idea in mind.
Yes, because of that age. The age. Because when you look at Sundowns players, average age, the whole lineup, I think is 28. The average age. Then again, you look at the next 5 years, they'll be 33. It's okay. So my worry, Pirates, they are good students. They're doing very well. I'm happy with the way they're doing. But now, I just want them to say, there's life after tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and next week.
Let's wrap it up. What's your comment on Mofokeng? Just very quickly. You saw the decline in the derby.
Yeah.
Nothing much. Nothing much. Skukuna, you guys watched it. We didn't see him as Skukuna. We saw him today, as well. I will always advocate for him. I think that he will be a player of the season.
Yeah.
I know that he's now fallen behind Guru Ribeiro, obviously,
Yes,
as it stands.
Yeah.
But I'll always vouch for him as a South African human being, and I'll always vouch for South African players who are doing well. Any word on him? What's your observation on what's happening with him?
Yeah, Mr. Gill, I will say to the boy, these things they do happen, Mr. Gill. He must still look down and say, young Daba didn't perform with Cocoon and now the Sundowns. It means I'm a bad player. No, you're still a star. We are behind you, we support you. Days are not the same. It happens to the best players in the world where they will play 5 games not performing in their level best. But after 5 games, then now they rise to the occasion. He just need to keep focused, continue work. It is going to pay off because I believe that you can be a player of the season. So everything is in your hands to say, look, let me be calm. Tatama, I saw be calm. And then you focus on what you're doing, that you do best. And then the rest, Leave it to us.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much, Mr. Soen. So that was Orlando Pirates visiting Pretoria, the capital of South Africa, Tshwane. They lost to Mamelodi Sundowns, the best team in the country, beating the second best team in the country. That was the game then. Thank you very much to both teams. At least we saw something that we could talk about with some degree of excitement, although there are consequences. The consequence for this tonight or today, this afternoon, is that we may have seen the last of what we thought was the title race. Fortunately for us, and this is where we are now in the country, at least they took us to February. You remember, so every year by November it's already over. So it was December, January, February. So it extended for 3 more months. I think if it stays 9 points and if it ever gets to 12 points, whoever is still talking about the title race is just dramatic. And especially with the nature of the loss as well from Pirates, I think it will be a psychological defeat more than anything else. We'll see whether or not they can turn it around. iDiskiTV is the Times, also sweating.